As you probably know by now, 7 persons were indicted today for trying to cover up the Watergate scandals. Tonight, we'll try to examine the importance of those indictments.
And I direct Haldeman, and I direct Ehrlichman, and I direct Mitchell to get together tomorrow and then meet with me as to how we get this story out. And that's what...
We're here in the 3700 block of West 70th Place in Chicago. It's your typical Chicago neighborhood of bungalows, one flats. But if you notice, a few of these houses are a little newer than all the rest of the houses on the block. Let's go back 50 years and find out why.
Corrected for the airplane crash at 70 Place in Lawndale. Plan 3 is now in effect.
And I heard the plane approach, and he got louder and louder, and he sounded like he was in takeoff mode, and then it sounded like a bomb exploded. But my mother was in the kitchen at the time, and she said she saw the tail of the plane go on by.
There's supposed to be 53 people in this plane. We don't know how many are in the houses.
We run down to 70th Place, and we see a tail of a commercial airliner sitting where houses were, with a light still blinking on it.
United Flight 553 left Washington National Airport, bound for Omaha, Nebraska, with a stop in Chicago. Now, this would have been any other air tragedy like so many others, except that in this particular case, there are a lot of weird phenomenon, conspiracies, coincidences, call it what you will. Remember, this was the height of the Watergate scandal involving the President Richard M. Nixon and 7 of his closest aides. On board the flight was Dorothy Hunt. She was the wife of E. Howard Hunt, one of those aides who was embroiled in the Watergate scandal. And that wouldn't have been a big deal in and of itself, except that in her luggage, it was found that she was carrying over $10,000 in $100 bills, which is a pretty substantial sum in those days.
I just got a terribly tragic bit of news. That plane crash, Howard Hunt's wife was on it. And his wife is dead? Yes, sir. She was killed in that plane crash in Chicago. Oh, my God.
People speculated that it was hush money to be delivered to some of the conspirators in the Watergate scandal. Another coincidence, tragic though it may be, is that on board the aircraft who also perished was a young woman named Michelle Clark. She was one of the first African Americans to be hired in a prominent journalism position at CBS and had been assigned to the Democratic National Convention. The aircraft flew over her birth town of Gary, Indiana, en route to Chicago where she grew up. And another weird instance is that as they were flying over Gary, Indiana, for unknown reasons, the flight data recorder decided to turn off, setting off an alarm in the cockpit. In the cockpit voice recorder, which remained active, you can hear the captain tell his first officer to check the fuses for the flight data recorder. It was part of this in-cabin confusion that helped precipitate the accident. Flight 553 was given a missed approach order and asked to circle back. Because of a smaller aircraft in front of it, it was slower, and the tower was afraid that Flight 553 would overtake that aircraft. In doing so, the crew activated the spoilers to create more drag and slow the aircraft down. Unfortunately, between the conversations about the flight data recorder and other factors, crew didn't realize that their spoilers were still activated until the plane reached its fatal stall speed and dropped out of the sky like a rock. Another interesting or weird coincidence is that the pilot, who was a well-experienced pilot and had been with United Airlines for 16 years, his last name was Whitehouse. People also viewed with a bit of skepticism why the FBI was at the crash scene so quickly. Unusual by most accounts for them to be on the scene of an air crash. But they explained it, said that they were tasked with investigating the crash of all common carriers, whether they be aircraft or railroad. But it still gave people pause then, although nowadays there will be 100 TV shows written about it probably. So this was just a tragedy, like so many others. Took the lives of very promising individuals It happened on December 8, 1972, 50 years ago. Thank you for watching, everybody. We'll see you again next time. Bye for now.